Hi, I'm adding this to my Sarah series, even though I was going to make 1 or 2 videos on 2 different Sarah topics today. I decided, since we're 3 days away from Election Day, that this was too important to delay, so I'm going to talk about this one shortly, and then you'll look for the other ones in the next few weeks. I wanted to just keep this brief because if you're like me, you've probably already sent in an early ballot and you're already pretty much decided probably on who you're going to vote. But I'm mostly going to talk about why it's important to vote at all, but how also whoever we vote for, there's still reason to hope. Let me share something from the Common Sense Facebook page. It's a picture that I shared today on my personal page that talks about the election. It says, "Long after this election is over, Trump and Hillary will still be rich. Half of us will be able to claim we won, and the other half will have 4 years to say, 'That's why I didn't vote for.' Just remember, we live in a different America than they do. We have to live, work, and eat with each other in our America. We don't get to hop on a private jet and fly away from our community problems. We are what makes this country what it is, not the president. He or she will not stop crime in our neighborhoods. He won't stop people from stealing your identity, and she will not stop anyone from shooting up our local nightclubs. Hillary will not come to teach your child right from wrong, but you can. Trump will not come to your home and teach her math, but you can. We, as a united people with sound morals, values, and ethics, can make this country whatever we want. Vote for whomever you want, but remember, we are the ones that shape our communities, not them." But I want to talk to the Christians for a moment, but to anyone in general, just keep this in mind if you're thinking about just not voting because 1, you think it doesn't matter, or 2, you think it's hopeless anyway, or 3, I'm not sure if there's another reason. Well, consider the fact that in 2012, the last election, there were 25 million Christians who neglected to vote, and the election was won by 5 million votes. Now think of you 25 million Christians who didn't vote. Did you like who won? Because if you didn't, you could have been one of the 5 million that swayed it the other way. 25 million of us could have overwhelmed the other side, or maybe it would have evened out, and then it wouldn't have been as drastic a decision. I mean, either way, it sways. And I know that with the Electoral College, my husband talks about this, sometimes our votes seem even less important and less effective than ever, but apparently the election was won by 5 million votes. Could you have been one of the 5 million that would have made it go the other way? I also want to ask a tough question. If it comes down to it, would you still teach your family your values and live them out even if the president made it illegal? Because I can think of at least one of the candidates that would make certain things illegal in my faith with God. And whether or not that will happen or not, I don't know. But if it does, I first and foremost stand for God. So that's what I considered when I considered who to vote for, first of all. But secondly, what would you do? I mean, even if your values aren't mine, are you still going to teach your family your values? Because I think that, when I was student teaching, we learned about, I can't remember the technical words, but we were talking about what affects children the most, and then what affects them on a macro scale, with the community in general and stuff. But what affects children the most are the micro interactions they have with their family, and sometimes their school, the things they're around every day. And you can make a difference even if the presidents are saying other things. I'm not saying to break laws, but I can think of one law I would break if it came down to it, and if I had to renounce God just so I could live or feed my family, I still would say I follow the Lord. And I know some people are like, you're kind of talking extreme here, but I am thinking extreme. And if it were to happen, I mean, if you think the president has that much power, would you listen to them, or would you still stand for what you believe? It's kind of a hard thing to think about, but that's something I also thought about when I voted. Also, I'm going to share just a couple brief things that I wrote about in a blog about voting earlier last month. I said, "This is a scary time to be a Christian because politics are uglier and more scheming, and the devil is laughing while he watches us attack each other and argue about which candidate is worse, all the while pretending we are still decent people while we let loose on social media. We lose our faith sometimes when we get distracted with each other's opinions. At this point, this country needs the Lord. That's the only thing I know. Who are you voting for? I don't know. At this point, I'm not sure it makes a difference if we count the tallies with each other because I believe we all cast our vote with the assurance that we believe we're making the right choice. I cannot shame you for that. We are merely human beings trying to make a broken system guide us into change, and either way, change will happen. Either way, we will pick a candidate that we agree with in some areas and don't agree with in others. Either way, God is still God, and we still have a choice to serve the Lord, no matter who becomes president." And I want to just end this brief Sarahdime video with a call to vote, because if you haven't already voted, it isn't just the president we're voting for. And I'll be honest, when you have a list of like judges to vote for and who to keep in office and certain policies, there are things I haven't read up enough on, and I don't know who the judges are, so I look on, I think it's called, I don't remember what it's called, but there's like a Wikipedia, but it's for voting, and I'll find it and I'll link it in the video. It gives me some information on the candidates. I'm like, I'll do my best to pick the right one, and if I didn't have a good reason not to keep them, I just voted yes, keep the judge in for a little while longer. But just consider voting, because worst case is you spend up to 10 minutes on November 8th writing a vote for people you haven't really read up on, or maybe you have and you were maybe decided not to vote but decided in the end you would, and in the end maybe it doesn't do anything, but at least you tried. I really believe that trying does matter in some cases, and in this case I would hate for us to just sit back and say, well, I don't like what's happening, but I'm going to just let it happen. I mean, I think that we need to, at least if we don't like the way the direction we're going, is it worth trying just for 10 minutes, just putting your vote out there? You still have a few days to do your research. There are videos of the debates you can watch. You can spend time just doing your research now, even though you don't have as much time, because we might see a lot of changes, and I want to ask you, are there changes that you want to see? Because I think these candidates are more opposite than ever, and I think it's very important that we do our research and we pray about it, and that we make a choice that we think is the right choice, because half of us are on one side and half of us are on the other for the most part. So one of us will find out which way this direction is going to go, how our country is going to fare after a certain candidate wins. So in the end, are you still okay with whatever happens? Are you still going to worship God if the candidate you didn't vote for wins? That's all I have to say about this. I'll have some links and stuff about the picture that I read from, and some important articles and other things, and that if you need to do your research before you vote, I'll also send that link down below. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you vote.